Marilyn Manson is one of the most beloved figures in rock and metal history, but he is also one of the most controversial, to say the least. From rumors about his rib cages to on-stage spats with his bandmates, today we're going to go back and look at some of Marilyn Manson's most controversial moments. And believe me, there are too many to even list here. But if you're new here, please subscribe with notifications on for daily news updates on your favorite bands and retrospective videos just like this one. And please put notifications on, click that bell as well so you get updated when we post new videos. The first incident involved a 2003 onstage spat with then guitarist John 5 that would go viral for years later. Manson was performing their hit rendition of The Beautiful People when he apparently got pissed off at John 5 and decided to haul off and kick him right in the ass. Manson would approach John 5 and hit him with a swift roundhouse kick right in the nuts. Okay, maybe not in the nuts, but he still kicked him. And you could see the two get into some sort of a rift with each other off stage there as well. Needless to say, John 5 wouldn't last much longer with Marilyn Manson. And as much as I love Marilyn Manson, sometimes he just plain out gets it wrong, like this time in 2013, when Michael Jackson's daughter, Paris, who is a known metalhead, reportedly attempted to harm herself. And with these reports widely circulating in the media, Manson for some reason decided to dedicate his hit song Disposable Teens to her. The story goes that a family member denied her the opportunity to go to Manson's show, and that contributed to her self-harm. And during a later live performance, Manson dedicated the song Disposable Teens to Paris Jackson.
This song is for Paris Jackson.
While he was performing that dedicated performance, he simulated what you can see here, which is an obvious gesture to self-harm. Not a good look for Manson. The infamous Ozzfest. Every band has a crazy Ozzfest story. In fact, they usually have a few, and for Manson, there is no exception here. Manson was on Ozzfest 2001 when he was performing wearing reportedly a leather thong and pantyhose, and he wrapped his legs around a security member in the crowd, and he reportedly put his nuts on his head. The security guard naturally wasn't amused and contacted authorities, who later arrested Manson and charged him for battery and assault. Fortunately for Manson, the guard later dropped the charges. He was only forced to pay $4,000 in fines. Imagine having the opportunity to go on national TV during the height of your career, probably during the height of cable television, on the biggest music network in the world. That's what Marilyn Manson had going for him in 1997 when he was invited to speak and perform at the Video Music Awards. And during that show, before he launched into his performance, Manson decided to launch into a tirade against Christianity. Speaking from behind the podium, Manson launched into an impassioned speech about his problems with Christianity, and he called it fascism. We will no longer be oppressed by the fascism called Christianity. As a result of this, as you could probably expect, MTV was overloaded with letters of people opposing Marilyn Manson espousing his viewpoints on the network. Remember, this is cable television and there were a lot of kids watching and surely a lot of families, but if you're watching the VMAs where you've had those infamous performances year after year, are you really surprised by controversy at the VMAs? Seriously? In November of 2017, a crazed man entered a church and took the lives of 27 people. This was an event that made national headlines everywhere and was widely known. That same night, after this had happened earlier in the day and the news had widely circulated, Manson took the stage, and this is what happened. Manson was performing at Ozzfest meets Nodfest in San Bernardino. And instead of using a microphone, he had a modified microphone attached to a firearm, and he was seen on camera holding it like a rifle and pointing it into a crowd. It's unclear if he had planned this gag before the incident took place earlier that day. This was not only controversial because of the incident that took place in Texas that day, but also because even San Bernardino had their own incident several years prior to this. There's so much lore surrounding Marilyn Manson, it's hard to separate truth from fact, with Manson himself seemingly playing a lot of these rumors up about himself. But this is one of the craziest rumors about Manson. During an interview with High Times in 1996, Marilyn Manson described wild incidents hanging out with guitarist Twiggy Ramirez, where they reportedly smoked human bones together. He says they found the bones in a cemetery in New Orleans, and they later talked members of his entourage hanging out in a hotel room in LA to smoke them while on tour. Manson said, "It smelled like burnt hair, gave you a really bad headache, and made your eyes red." And despite all of these controversies for Manson, some bad, some good, Manson has remained an iconic figure in the rock and metal world. But this last controversial incident for Manson really let him shine. He became the master of going on shows and schooling interviewers who tried to make him look bad and tried to make heavy metal culture look bad too. He appeared on the Phil Donahue show back in 1994, around the time that many parents were widely coming together to take their kids' music and censor them. There's a real movement happening there. Phil Donahue had an episode on his widely popular talk show where he perpetuated stereotypes about heavy metal music and their alleged ties to devil worshippers. He claimed the genre exclusively promoted despair and violence, and based upon his image, it would be natural to invite Marilyn Manson on the show to reinforce these stereotypes. But Manson was wise. When he appeared on the show, he was well put together and made very compelling arguments in favor of the genre. Despite the appeared attempt to agitate him, Manson remained cool, calm, and collected, stating, "I think it's unfortunate that parents don't know what their kids are doing. That disappoints me. I think parents should raise their kids better, or someone like Marilyn Manson is going to." Love him or hate him, Marilyn Manson has really carved his own path. He's a unique and interesting figure, but as I mentioned, he is not without controversy. But that's okay, sometimes controversy can be good. So what's your take on Marilyn Manson? Do you find him to be interesting? Do you like him? Is he repulsive to you? Let me know in the comments down below. And please be sure to subscribe to Rockfeed with notifications on in case you're new here. It helps the channel. You can also help the channel by joining memberships, where you get early access to videos, behind the scenes content, participate in a weekly Q&A or a semi-regular one at that, and generally, you get your name displayed in Rockfeed videos like you're seeing beside my massive head. Anyways, thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you all very soon.